it's Emma, and welcome to this week's book discussion chat talk thing. It's that time of the week where I've read a book, and now I'm going to discuss it with you. So don't forget to leave a like and comment if you've also read this book and thought it was just wonderful. What's the book that I read? I'm gonna tell you now. This week, I read Passenger. Oh yeah. By Alexandra Bracken. And if you don't know her, I'm pretty sure that she's written a Star Wars book, so you should know her because Star Wars is amazing. Passenger is about a girl named Etta Spencer who is a violinist and, going about her normal life with her kind of tutor slash guardian, part guardian, Alice, and her mother, Rose, who has always been kind of distant. Rose has not been very close with Etta, and there's also the second main character is Nicholas, or as Nick, she always calls him Nicholas in this book, but that's too many words, so I call him Nick, okay, Nick. So together, Etta and Nick are gonna try to save time. And it was so good. It took me a while to get into it. It took me about 80 pages to really get into it. But after that, I was going. There was no stopping me, okay? I was in it for life. And it's a decent sized book. So 80 pages, is not that much. It's like that much of the book. So I got into it relatively quickly. There were so many feels in this book. At the same time, there was a lot of history and specific sciencey, time travel-y stuff, and it was such a good balance of emotional and time travel, and it just created something that I loved. And I'm so excited for the next book to come out, which is coming out in the spring, I think. Yeah, I think it's coming out in the spring. So yeah, if you haven't read it, go pick up Passenger, read it, and come back and discuss, because I'm gonna spoil y'all now. Oh, let's go. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So let's just dig right into that ending where Etta is obliterated and goes to the different timeline. Not exactly a different one. She goes to where it was last the same since it changed. Because she didn't destroy the astrolabe thingamajig. In that first moment after Etta disappeared, dissolving into a million grains of glittering dust, every last trace of blood seemed to leave his body. It was impossible to breathe. It was impossible to move. He's totally heartbroken that Etta died. And I was freaking out at this point. My mind was not in its right place. I was tearing, tears were streaming down my face when I was reading the end of this book. That leads me to my next point, which I have to make right now, is that her mom just escaped. What? I'm sorry if I'm acting crazy, but I got into this book, as I said, and there are many emotions that I had that I'm voicing right now. So basically, Etta's mom is miraculously okay. She escaped no problem. I have a couple problems myself with how that played out. Because one, Etta risked her life over and over again, and apparently there was no need because Rose planned this. Rose put the paintings in Etta's house to help her along the path. She made the letters to help Etta along the path. She got kidnapped to help Etta along this path, to save time. The motivation for Etta is to save her mom, to go back and save Alice. And once Alice is taken out of the picture because Etta realizes that Alice doesn't want to be saved, the purpose is her mom, to save her mom. Grandfather has her mom. And her mom just is free, talks to Nicholas, and then leave. Next on my list is Sophia. So at first, when I'm first introduced to Sophia, I'm just okay, this chick, she's a little angry, a little kind of fed up with the world, because she's a woman in the 1700s, and they don't get a lot of good things that happen to them. Yeah. And so she's like kind of pent up about it, and she doesn't really like Etta that much. Etta doesn't really like Sophia, but you know, Sophia gives us answers, so I'm willing to tolerate Sophia explaining the whole time traveling situation. Thank you, Sophia, for explaining all the time travelingness. Which before then I was so confused. Like, it started in 1910 with Nicholas and Julian, and then it went to Etta in present, and then we went to 1700s, and by that point I was so confused. But then Sophia, at the end of the book, goes and takes the astrolabe, leaving Sophia and Nicholas for dead. Sophia! She almost kills them, and I'm not okay with that. And we learn that Sophia is the villain. Sophia! This whole time, I'm thinking, grandfather is the worst villain. Like, he's going to change time to get his wife back. That's why he wanted Etta back by the 30th, was to get his wife back. But then frickin' Sophia comes all up in this place and is like, I'm taking the astrolabe and using it for myself. Like, what the heck? I really liked the relationship between Etta and Nicholas and the whole partners thing, protecting thing, with Etta standing up for Nicholas when that guy, what's his name? I'll insert his name like somewhere on the screen. But when that guy was being all racist towards Nicholas and she jumped in and was like, hey, put him in his place. I enjoyed that scene. So yeah, I loved Etta and Nicholas's like chemistry and their relationship and how they worked together. They were really cute, and I really enjoyed a lot of their scenes. But boy, did this book leave me with so many questions that got left unanswered. Like, half of this sheet of paper is questions. Here are some questions that I have. Like, what happens when a traveler goes back in time to a place they've already been? I was a little confused. Like, it's impossible for them to go back into that time once they've been there? Or can they, but they don't, because it would cause, like, this huge conundrum that they just want to avoid. My second question is, so Etta got, like, put back into this timeline because it changed, because she didn't destroy the astrolabe, or however you pronounce it. So does she remember the previous things she'd done, or does her memory just, like, reset to the common point in which she was, like, teleported back to? Because I'm real confused. Because if Etta forgets some of the events with Nicholas, I'm just gonna not be okay. My favorite scene in the book was the underground scene with Etta and Nicholas, and during the bombing, the Blitz. I loved how they kind of really became friends, and Etta was so scared, and Nicholas kind of brought her back, and she played notes on his arm, and it was so cute, and they were like, oh, I loved that scene. And then there was the whole, like, Nicholas secret plan from Etta, how Nicholas was gonna trade the astrolabe and make sure that Etta gave grandfather the astrolabe. But, like, I didn't think for a second that he was gonna do that. I just knew that that wasn't gonna about to be happening up in this place. When Nicholas almost died, oh my gosh, and he got stabbed, and they're in, like, 1500s, where there was like bad medicine practices, medicinal practices. There were more like steady trickles of tears going down my face. Where was it? I don't even know. I was just like, no, and then Sophia left without him, and I was just like, no! I don't know where it is. So, yeah, I'm super excited. Definitely gonna read the next book, because I need to know what happened to Etta. And if the next book goes on, and we don't learn where Etta is in the beginning of the book, and the whole book is Nicholas trying to find Etta, I ain't having that. Ugh! I kind of thought how Etta's mom, Rose, how she kind of, like, put the paintings up in their loft, and, like, started writing the secret letters to kind of get Etta trained for this journey. I thought that was super cool and like well foreshadowed on how everything was gonna go. Like that painting where it was Alice in the painting they were focusing on and not the museum. So she learned that she had to go speak to Alice. I thought that was really cool. But the part where she realizes that Alice doesn't want to be saved, I was so sad. I think that's all that I have to say about this book, and it's a really good book. I'd probably give it 4 out of 5 stars, just because it took me a while to get into it, because it was a kind of confusing beginning. But other than that, I really have no quarrels with this book. It's pretty, I immensely, really just a lot of enjoyment went into reading this book. And, you know, I'm involved now. I'm involved, and I'm going to be involved until the series ends, and I think it's a trilogy, so we'll see how that goes. That was this week's book discussion. If you enjoyed, leave a like or a thumbs up. You know, they are synonymous for the same thing. Synonymous? Is that a word? They're synonyms. You know, like, thumbs up. Do it anyway! And if you want to see next week's book discussion, make sure to subscribe so you can see when I upload a new video. That's all I have for you. Bye! This video was super long.